Welcome to the Elevate Podcast, your resource for all things business, brand, and leadership. We are excited you have decided to join us today.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Elevate Podcast. I'm Robert Kalin.
What's up, everyone? It's Tony Frasconi. We're on episode number 3. Can you believe it?
Episode number 3. I can't. This is going by super fast. Today's episode is brought to you by Innovations in Leadership. You guys, your resource for all things leadership, whether it's coaching, disc assessments, workshops. Go there right now, www.innovationsinleadership.com. Awesome stuff. Today, continuing our conversation about leading with heart, Tony. I'm pumped.
We're back.
We're back, baby.
The E. We're with the E. We just got done with hope, healing, and honoring yourself.
Yeah, I love that. Leading with heart. We're on E. This is about eradicating excuses and involving.
Yeah.
Give us a little bit about what that means to you.
Well, look, I think the easiest thing to do is look around your environment, right? The lighting that you have, the things that are within your reach, the TV remote, the Wi-Fi. We're in a constant state as human beings of evolving. Technology is a very easy one to look at, but we can look at anything. And I think when you think about leadership and think about yourself as a leader, how are you evolving?
Yeah, growth, constant growth, development. I'm a big proponent of development. You know that. I think it's really important that, when we see the ladder to success, that we don't stay in the same spot, because 10 years from now, when we're staying in the same spot, it's going to be a super sad day. Man, I could have done this. I could have done that. Right. So
yeah. And one of my favorite personal development authors is Grant Cardone, and he's got this book called The 10X Rule. I don't know if you've heard of it, but he talks about taking massive action, and he talks about action in 4 degrees.
Okay. And
degree number 1 is taking no action, and it actually is more work to take no action than to actually be taking action, if you can imagine that. And so when we think about evolving, it means continuing to take action, because otherwise, like you said, we're going to become stagnant. We're actually going to go backwards.
Right.
And it's because it's actually harder to stay complacent than to just keep evolving, keep moving.
Right. That's good. Elevate Podcast, we're talking everything business, brand and leadership. We have to do that every time. Business brand, leadership. And leadership. There it is. But as we're kind of thinking about that, and we're thinking about, evolving our business, staying in front of the things that matter, right? Leading with heart, leading our teams, putting the vision at the forefront and saying, hey, we're going for this big goal. You guys, come on, I'm taking you up the mountain, right? It's a lot of times leadership is said as like, it's a lonely journey, but I feel like this is why this podcast exists, is because we don't want this to be a lonely journey. We want to bring people up the mountain together. Right?
Absolutely. And it can feel lonely taking action.
Absolutely.
Because the world around you, is complacent. Wherever you're at in the world, here in America, we have so much abundance, and it's so easy to be complacent.
Yeah.
And so I think the eradicating excuses part of it around that acronym is actually getting rid of excuses completely, because we're always going to have a reason. Our minds can think of anything to talk ourselves out of doing something.
Oh, yeah.
But on the contrary, we can also talk ourselves into doing something. So what are we talking ourselves into doing that is in line with where we want to go in life?
Yeah. Where
we want to evolve, and who we want to take with us.
I love it. So thinking about who you want to be down the road, and then what's it going to take to get you there. I can think about many times when people have said, oh, that can't be done. You can't do this, right? And it's like, well, why don't we just adopt what Carl Newman calls the power of how, the how can attitude, right? Where we equip ourselves with this attitude of, why can't we? Let's make it happen. What are our possibilities that are out there, right? When you see the world through the lens of possibilities rather than obstacles.
Right.
your life changes.
It does.
You guys don't miss that.
It really does. And I think, knowing some of, peeling back the curtain on you a little bit, your story of becoming a small business owner is just that. I mean, you left something very stable to go into the world of entrepreneurship and running a business. And it can be lonely, and it might not make sense to everyone. So
for sure,
you tell folks about that journey and taking action.
For sure. So I had a really awesome job working at Microsoft on the Xbox team, the hardware team, and of all people, Brian Reynolds is like, "Hey, I've got this business. Do you want to buy this business?" He's sitting back there laughing right now. And I was like super excited about that idea because I had this business plan for a hot dog cart that I was like jazzed about, right? And Brian comes with this opportunity where he's like, look, bro, you can buy this, you can turn this into your commissary kitchen and make it happen. And I'm sitting there thinking, of course, that negative self-talk, right? Goes, yeah, this is never going to work because my wife's not going to be into it. She's going to be like, no change, we're good. Don't do it. And so like I'm praying about it on the way home as I'm driving. We had just met at Anthem, and I pull into my driveway and she's out there in the garden doing some yard work. And I was like, hey babe, this just happened. And she goes, let's do it. And I was like, are you kidding me? She would never say this.
She affirmed kind of this idea that was totally out of the blue for her.
Yeah, 100%. And from that moment on, we had a lot of like, there's a lot of fear that goes into you got to secure good job to you own a business, and now you have to create your own opportunities and income, really.
Yeah.
And what that looks like. And so we had to wrestle with that. But going back in the acronym of HEART, and I love why you put the H up front, right? Where, hope, and having that hope of the vision that we have of like, God really called us to serve our city, whatever that looks like. Right. And for us to say, okay, I'm going to be obedient to that call and step out in faith, really trust the process, and have a lot of really amazing people support us through that as mentors and coaches and even just friends, in a community that it's been really awesome. I'm so thankful that I stepped out and I did something in fear.
What do you think was the biggest excuse that could, like the easiest excuse that kept coming up for you of like, you know what, that's actually just a pipe dream. That's probably not for me. The imposter syndrome and all that. But what was some of the excuses that you just had to literally eradicate? You had to just say, I'm not going to let that hinder where I'm going. That's
a great question. There's so many, man.
Yeah.
Like I'd say the biggest one was just that financial leap and being able to like,
right.
We're literally just saying no to income and saying we don't know what that'll look like.
Right.
That was probably the biggest hurdle.
Oh, and by the way, you're going to have employees and have other people to take care of.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah. You just inherited a new family,
Right. And I know you didn't go into the hot dog cart too much, but I love how, you started out with this vision, and through taking action, right, through eradicating excuses, continuing to evolve in who you are as a leader and as a person, this door opened to something different.
Yeah.
But you continue to walk through it, even though it wasn't exactly the vision that you thought was so clear.
That's such a great point. One of the things as I've kind of made this journey, I almost imagine like a stairway. And it's like completely foggy. You can see the next step, and that's it. Like that's how I operate now. It's like I'm just going to take that next step. I don't know what the final staircase is going to be like, or the doorway at the top of that when I'm going to walk through it. I don't know what that's going to be like, but I do know the next step is this, right? And that's what I move toward.
Right, and for you, for us, the next step, after investing, after having a successful business now. Elements Coffee, by the way, downtown Puyallup. I'm drinking a fresh cup myself. Got to, make sure everyone knows what we're talking about. But you have a successful business, open several years now, and now the next step for you is pursuing this leadership journey as well.
Yeah.
A lot of people might say, hey, you have a successful business. Why not just, make that business grow, do the best you can, sell it in a few years, et cetera, et cetera. But you haven't stopped there. You're still moving in this direction. And I think that's what's so inspiring as I think about your story. And when we think about all the excuses that can get in the way, and when we think about all of the reasons why we can stay complacent and not evolve.
Yeah. You guys, right now, you're thinking about your story. You've got excuses on your mind right this minute that you can say, I shouldn't do this because. Call those out. Say what they are. Say them out loud. And then rewrite the story.
Rewrite that narrative.
Rewrite the story right now.
And reclaim what's inside you.
Yeah.
It's there for a reason.
Right. Absolutely. Sometimes it's hard to find it.
Yes.
But take the time, do the work, process it. And like we said before at the beginning of this thing, I think it was episode 1, find a friend, seek a counselor, somebody who can help you in the healing journey so that you can get to that spot where you can start evaluating yourself and really rewriting those negative narratives that you tell yourself.
Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, it's going to outpour, it's going to overflow, and you're going to end up actually serving more people. Just like Dr. Stent from the 1800s followed his passion, and I've had, 3 times my time ran out.
I love it.
But because of those stents, they're in my heart, my blood's still pumping, and still flowing.
There's still hope. There's still hope. You guys, you are not going to want to miss next episode. We're going to go over the A of heart. And I'm really pumped. Tony, thank you so much for just sharing your heart today. And
absolutely.
I'm excited to continue the conversation.
Me too, my friend. Me too. Elevate Podcast, episode 3, out.
Thanks for joining us today on the Elevate Podcast, your resource for all things business, brand, and leadership. For a deeper dive into the content and to get access to resources like our free show notes, go to countercultureleaders.com/podcast and sign up for our newsletter. Hey, don't forget to like, rate, and review, and subscribe, and share this content with your friends and colleagues. This is Mike Newman. Looking forward to seeing you next week.